Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's after 5, and the purpose of today's meeting is to particularly called, finance committee meeting of the city of Harrison. The purpose of the meeting is to give, not just council, but anybody that want to come before us to discuss, the tax levy and the election that we are proposing,
Yeah, I've got the.
on behalf of the city of Harrison. You know, I want to make sure that everybody understands the reason for this is later on, that this was never discussed openly, publicly. That's not accurate. And then promoting this, I think, second committee meeting that we held in regard to this, and then multiple city council meetings. So everybody has an opportunity to discuss this at length. So, Luke, before we get started, do you have a PowerPoint that we've been using that we want to project it?
I believe it's still on the computer over there. I didn't have a formal presentation.
Yeah, I just wanted to refer to it so that we can remind everybody if there's any questions in regard to it.
I'll double check with James to make sure.
Yeah, I'm working on this.
So, and I didn't ask you to have it ready because it just, if something comes up, you know, we asked the department heads to come up with what they would cut. And if there's any question to that, we want to point out again how much of that is personnel, if the comment comes up. And I have visited with Luke and some of the city administration and the mayor in regard to a few things, doing some comparisons. Numbers like the number of the traffic count in Harrison now versus prior years. And so we can get an idea of something, somebody could draw some inference to see that the personnel is needed and that we want to make sure that we get the facts. So I would first, while James is looking for any of that, direct anything to the council, that is the committee, that if you have any questions or of the administration or something you want to bring up for discussion, that we do so.
Well, I've had, some citizens, who just asked some general questions, just after this afternoon. The comment was, why don't we just crack it all? Why don't we just cut some down? Was one aspect. And how would that affect them to do that? And then the other was, if we consider doing the markets and this is of course what that was. Considering why or why not would we consider that? Which to me, for the one thing, it still doesn't get us to the point that we need to do. Interpreting that, if we wish to go down to an income, it's a tax and something.
Not sure I will be to respond, but I will take this stance, I guess, at it. Obviously this course, it generates about 1.6 million. So the rate would only generate 800,000. So with that, we'd still have to cut significant number of jobs for that to happen. As far as stripping the fat, to me, and I live it every day, I don't see fat. We trimmed and cut down, especially in police and fire, quite a bit. I know police specifically, we cut their training and travel budget, just to try to mitigate some of the stuff because we were up against a deficit budget. So we cut the training and travel. And they came to me the other day and said, what do you want us to do? We did our training and travel, and we've still got a few things that we promised that we'd send some people. And so we've had to kind of back some of that off some more. And it's hurting to not train our police officers, obviously. So but it is what it is. It's a budget, and that's where we're going with it. So we've trimmed a lot. I trim every year. You can ask these guys over here. Whenever I tell them no, or hey, you got to cut back on this or that, that happens, and we do that every year during budget time, so, as far as the trimming I wouldn't ever think that we had any, but again, I see this every day, and we have cut, we've cut a lot, so.
So move off that, on the training side of it, someone is, or a citizen, I guess you could say, has said that maybe some training could be cut back. Is the training that is done, is it necessary that we, I mean, what benefit do we see in training that bill? I guess the fire business would fall under most people. What benefit are we seeing from that?
I'm gonna defer to the department heads, if that's okay, because they see it every day, what the training goes for. I just see the dollar amounts for the most part, I do see some of it, but I think they're better equipped to answer that.
I can answer that real quick. Members of my department can cost this city millions in lawsuits. For the rest of them to know. Not that their jobs are any more important, but the things that my guys do and my ladies do, if they don't do it properly, it costs millions. There's legislative changes, the ways that the procedures has changed so much since I started 38 years ago. The chief Cohen can relate to this. If we don't train, we put ourselves out there. That's just like our equipment. The cameras we have. That protects not only everybody thinks that protects the citizens, it protects the officers more than it does anyone else. Because when we get complaints, here you go, here's the truth. They have no heart. So, training is something we have.
So when you train, is it the entire department going?
No, we can't afford that.
Okay, so are the same individuals going every time to these trainings?
That used to be, yes.
Yeah.
That changed about 8 years ago. I send supervisors to risk management. It's never done before. Every year. But that changes everything. And I mix them up and focus them off. Part of it's got to stay here and work. But we send those every year. We send those to, we have narcotics officers that go to 2 conferences. We have tactical officers and negotiators to go to their conferences. Admin goes to conferences, which we cut admin work this year. We just did. I mean, yes, it's great that we can get to go to a conference, but I would rather the men be going with the admin. So that's what we do.
And are they different I mean, how often are we going to conferences?
Usually annual, national conferences are once a year. But the training we send people to can be multiple times a year. And we have actually hosted training here. Because we have several of our officers that are instructors. Most of our officers are instructors. So we can write out a training program now and get that approved. I've got 2 trainings coming here, one in August, September, one for 2 days in August. We're using JPH, and one for 2 days in September, again using JPH, no cost. It's going to cost us whatever we cater that to the meals that day, but and the time, and the officers' time. But those are both leadership conferences. One of them, the one in September is kind of a split. It's First and Fourth Amendment one day, and then they have a kind of a leadership ending for the second day. But the first one, we actually have a retired colonel that teaches at the FBI Academy in Quantico, and he's doing a 2-day course here. And we're lucky to him. It's not costing us anything but his travel. So.
But the conferences that you go to, and you're going away for the due cost, we are seeing a benefit in going.
Well, the benefits you see is changing its name.
Okay, so you are seeing changes at every single.
Oh, yeah, we change policies. We change policies every year based off of the information we get
Right.
from the conferences, correct?
So once a year, the information changes. So if we're going to multiple conferences, are you getting new information at every conference that you go to? Be going to every conference that comes up that you're going to, part of training as part of your budget?
Yeah, if the conference is not gonna benefit us, we're not gonna go.
So if you're going to multiple conferences a year, what different things are we talking about at the different?
Just like I said, you've got narcotics, you've got, tag, you've got, negotiators, you've got SRO is mandated, they have to go every year. As a matter of fact, they just got back. So, yes, it's just different ones. That they go to, and
So
sometimes,
one person
sometimes we have-
going multiple times a year,
oh, no.
different groups.
Yeah, different groups, different officers, I had 2 patrol officers just get back from a tactical training that they went to. Both of those were patrol officers. We had a training here. Oh, CJI come up last week, we had, well, one day was, standardized field sobriety. And the next day is A-RIDE, which that don't mean nothing to you, but A-RIDE is the gap between a DRE, drug recognition expert, and standardized field sobriety. Basically, standardized field sobriety gives the officers the knowledge to tell when someone's impaired on alcohol. And A-RIDE gives them the knowledge to tell when they're impaired on narcotics, whether it's legal or illegal. But yes, we try to do a lot of them around here. And
But I'm just really talking about the.
the ones that, yeah. And whenever you go to these away conferences, yes, if you go to away conferences, hotels are huge expense. I mean, because they're a lot in the big cities. And, that's just part of it, so. But yeah, we send them to what they need. And that never was done a lot. Matter of fact, since I came here 8 years ago, did I double the training? I doubled the training budget. And now I've had to cut it back there. Just because of all the equipment. Okay, our body work camera. And okay, our car cameras, that's what's coming up next. 4 years ago, 230 something thousand for the cameras in the cars. Contracts up in another year. It's 460,000 this time. Doubled in 4 years.
I have a question in regard to that training, and just training in general, since we're talking about it. Well, you're not only trying to get them prepared to do their job, I assume, but you look at this now as more of a profession. Like, you're not hiring people off the street if you don't intend to make them a trained police officer.
What you have to. There's no way I can just take someone off the street and say, here's the badge and the gun, go get in the car and go catch the bad guys. They have to have so much training, and that's not only for their safety, it's for the citizen safety, and it's for the city's safety.
And I'm not making light of any of that, Chief, but I just want to make sure that we understand something. Like, can I walk in off the street anywhere in Arkansas and become a police officer just by walking in and filling in?
You could if they hired you, but they're not gonna turn you loose.
That's what I just asked.
Yeah.
You're not gonna allow me to,
Oh, no, you can't just walk in off the street and go get in the car and go out here and do a job. You have to be trained. First thing you're gonna be riding with another officer.
are you certified?
No, you're not certified till you go to the academy.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Does every police officer in the state of Arkansas go?
To the Arkansas Law Enforcement Training Academy.
They have to.
They have to, it's mandated. They have to go, and every one of them we send, so, now, something that's changed, some of the academies are a little closer, but, the problem with that is they don't have housing. So, we either have to provide housing and meals, so we try to send most of them to Camden, because housing and meals are provided there. Sometimes we have to go other places. Just depends on where we can get them. But yeah, the training is something that, of course, I come from.
I'm not knocking the training.
Oh, no.
It's great. But I think we can all say that we've been in conferences where I can say that.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Where I've just wasted 8 hours of my life.
And you know,
I just want you to make sure that the conferences, that if you're not public, or if you're not physically attending all of them, that the ones that you're sending your people to, they are getting something out of it, and that it is being shown, and they're being able to come back and give it
exactly.
to their people.
And that's just it. When we send them off, we expect them to come back and spread that with everyone else. So, you're right.
With training, what comes to my mind is 4 key points. Result one is that it teaches de-escalation, how to reduce dangerous situations without violence, which we see so much of in today's world. 2, it helps the officers live with the constant stress that they have in their job, that is sitting with their life on the line with people who would rather we not have police officers at all, certainly not in their lives. And fewer injuries result from more appropriate de-escalation, which lowers the cost the city has to pay.
Right, right. And then that's how I started this out. The main reason I started for training is officer safety. But the fact that if an officer messes up and violates someone's rights, that costs the city millions.
Officer safety.
Very quickly it will.
Citizen safety,
Mhm.
budget safety.
Oh, exactly, exactly.
Under proactive, it reduces your risk. You have risk reduction, it also reduces your waste.
Right out of risk management, yes. And that's one thing that I'm not covering. We send 4 to 6 every year, supervisors, admin. We just kind of started taking turns on going to that, but, and the risk management we go to, it's usually held in 3 locations. San Antonio, Texas, Franklin, Tennessee, and Deadwood, South Dakota. We had 4 that drove to Deadwood, South Dakota this year. Had a captain and 3 sergeants. You know, they brought back changes, whatever's changed. And this risk management we go to, the attorney that puts this on, retired police officer, out of Providence, Rhode Island, and he is also the same attorney that writes the policy for the Arkansas Chiefs Association. So his policies are the ones that we know about, or try to do it. You know, policies are guidelines. What may work in Little Rock may not work here, so that's our job as admin and staff. Our ultimately, my job would say, yes, we'll do it that way, no, we won't.
And Luke,
Yes.
man, I hate to put you on the spot like this, do you know what the training budget is? Cause I don't have the training budget up.
Well, it's 45 and we dropped it to 30.
Okay, so that doesn't even make up the pay for one officer. We would have no training, right?
Right.
So if we completely got rid of training, we still have to lose an officer.
Right. And that's something they always say, training is the first thing that's ever done, because that's what you can staff. Because cameras, they have us over the barrel, we have to have. You have to have a body camera or a car camera, you don't have to, but the value of having them outweighs the value of not having them ready.
Well, and I wanna address, the reason I say that, people say you just need to cut back. Well, if we cut back 100% of everything but personnel, like if we didn't use supplies here, if you had to pay for your own, ammunition, you're still gonna have, there's not enough money based on that cut to maintain the level of service with the number of people.
It's hard enough getting employees as it is now,
Right.
and they're provided everything. When we went to work, you got a pad, and a gun, and a ticket book, and an accident pad, they give you a card, and say, go out there and go get it. Wasn't a whole lot of cost. You just went out there and tried to do the best you can, training come along. But now, you provide them their weapons, their ammunition, their equipment, everything that they have, that they wear is provided.
Well, again, one of your officers could leave today, and I don't want to say this in what sense. They could go to a factory position here in town and walk in and get a job
Exactly.
today. They'd probably be hired because they're people of character. easy to pass a background check, I assume. But, then you couldn't do that same employee that's working in a factory here in town that can turn around and become a police officer based on the needed training or anything else. So you couldn't walk in off the street.
Out of about 30 to 35 applicants, we might have one pass it back. And that may be a little conservative.
Do you know what the average is in Arkansas? Used to be 2% for an officer.
I know when I went to work for state police some 30-something years ago, we had an applicant pool of about 6,000. I think they had 400 in their applicant pool last hiring in state police. So that's how much it's changed over the years. And then out of that 400, they're lucky if they can get 20 or 25.
So we're gonna have to, end about 5:50. We've got a little over, a little under a half an hour. So, Chief Flower, you wanna address some of the training too, since we're on training?
Yes, I'm glad you asked, because, you know, last year in the budget as well, when we done budget, we didn't cut ours 10,000, we went from 30 to 20 in for the budget for this year. It's some of the same things that Chris echoed is, you know, state law requires our guys gotta be certified within a year, you know, we can't just put them to work and let them go, you know, when we talk about our trainings that we do, when we send people off, we send, you know, we'll try to send our instructors to get the basics of it and then bring it back and get you to the group, you know, so we really get a lot of bang for our buck. One of the things that the fire academy done to us this last year, it was after this, we realized we were gonna cut our budget, is they now charge us for meals at the academy, so it's costing me about $1,500 per person to send them to new training down, or any training at the fire academy. So there we are, now we're going backwards again, so, you know, with all this, you know, and everything, kind of like Chris said, you know, with liability, you know, we go on these medical calls, we go on these rescue calls, we go to these swift water calls and get people out of these situations, you know, we're liable if we do something wrong. You know, we don't just get to go out there and act crazy and do something wrong and get away with it, you know. So, you know, we have a lot of liability when we go there and do these things.
And training reduces that often.
It does, and, you know, they do the job quickly and efficiently and get the people taken care of along the way, you know, so. You know, training is one of those things that probably of all things, because I hate to cut, so like Chris is, you know, we just have to try to make do with what we can, so, you know, when we talk about the question about cutting the fat, you know, every year when budget comes up, we look at things that, you know, let's try it this year and see how it's gonna work, you know, and, like this year, I don't think I'm gonna make budget, it's gonna just get close already. And I've got to send 2 more to rookie school this year. Well, that's gonna be $3,000 just to feed it, you know? So, it's very frustrating in those aspects of the stuff that costs, you know, the conferences are getting more expensive. You know, and nothing's close, you know.
Do all your, officers have to have a CDL?
No,
So do they have to drive the fire truck?
no. In Arkansas, firefighters are exempt from CDL requirements.
So that saves you roughly about $4,000 a year.
Probably, we do have to send, what's that?
I think it's supposed to be 5.
Okay.
You know, the downfall of that is we have to send them to a driver operator class, which is 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks in Canada. So, you know,
I'd rather have a CDL, because I could probably get, well, I might not be able to get.
No, you have to do it, you have to go for class now too.
yeah, I do it all in class, and I encourage them to get those, you know, but they, you know, we're not gonna get to it, so.
EMT training,
EMT training, we just,
which takes the majority of our calls.
that's right.
So if we got EMT training, would you still go on those calls?
Our level of care would go backwards, we would still go on the call, but we would have less abilities for treatment. You know, it'd be a basic first responder, you know,
So you'd be carrying people out rather than working on them.
that's right,
You have the ambulance driver.
yeah.
And I'm asking these questions, and I want the committee to ask these questions, because people need to understand when we say we need to cut you need to trim the budget, some they've already trimmed.
Mhm.
I'm not, again, saying I'm not saying a positive or negative to that. You just need to know that the training budget is $20,000 for the fire department, it's $30,000 for the police department. For that number of officers, it's not a lot of money.
Right.
So for firefighters, that's not a lot of money if you divide that out. How many firemen do we have?
30, there's 27 shifts counting the TRR guys, there's 33 of us total.
Okay, so divide that out, and you're not talking about even, what? Less than $1,000 per person a year.
It's ridiculously low, and you know, to
I would
compound that,
imagine that in your world, that you spend a lot more than that on training your staff in a year. I know that I have training coming up next week that it's costing us significantly more than that.
well, then, and you know, and I always throw ISO out there, you know, they tell us we would have so many training hours a month, you know, and some of that is done in-house, a lot of it is done in-house, but to, you know, again, some of that, we gotta send them off and get some specialized training, you know, again, we can't do swiftwater rescue here, we can't do, you know, extrication will do a basic class here, but you know, some of the advanced stuff they go off to, you know, you got to, you know, where the classes are.
And would you consider, again, a firefighter coming off the street? You couldn't just hire somebody off the street, and stick them in a fire truck, they have to be certified.
That's right. Yeah, it's kind of like.
That's no,
Yeah.
have no choice.
Yeah. No, they, you know, they come on and they can't enter a house. You know, the law says that to do an entry on a structural firefighting, you gotta have firefighter two, which is what you get when you go to the academy. So until they get that, they are just kind of a helper. They go get stuff and, you know, they're really, you know, they're really limited on what they can do.
So glad we again brought this up. Anybody else got a question or comment?
Just sure I was thinking correctly. If this fails, we lose 7 police officers and firemen and all of the related equipment to support them. My thought goes to the only measurement that truly matters is results achieved, and everything else is rhetoric. The results, if this fails, will be catastrophic for our city, it appears to me. Am I reading that right?
I tend to agree with that, and just for clarification, it would be 6 firemen. We're gonna have to cut 6 of ours.
So I underestimate.
Yeah.
What? Thank you.
Anything further? Thank you.
Can we see that PowerPoint? I'm sorry, that it was brought up. I'd like for everybody to understand what you're talking.
Mitch, this may not come out right, but I'm not excusing the fact that we need training. And I think part of me thinks that you are trying to justify why we need not to cut any of the training. What I'm wanting them to look at and I think maybe the person that had asked me this was that is everything that we're doing beneficial? You know, is it needed?
You may,
And what you're saying, when you're trying to portray is that everything is needed and that there are no cuts that can be cut. When I mean, if you're going to conferences that give you the same information multiple times a year, I would say that is not needed.
I agree with you 100%. What I'm trying to make sure that we as a community understand, we're not talking about a training budget. I guarantee you we could try to cut something from you. They just said that already cut. Now we could have somebody go through and say, okay, we're only gonna do this instead of doing this every 5 years, or 2 years, we'll do it 5 years, if it's required. And you and I both have been training for, like you said, we go to a conference. Man, I can't believe that they're talking about this. You know, whether that's required or not to have for the license or the certification. I just want everybody to understand the amount. I'm not justifying any amount. I don't think we should justify that amount, that at the end of the training, nor do I know what it is. But when somebody in the public says to me, well, do they need all that training? I don't know. Could it be cut? If you find it, can you do it online rather than going to the conference? We didn't even ask that question, though. If, you know, so much is done online now or remotely, right?
Right.
Could that be? I don't know. What I want to make sure that the public understands is they think that training budget may be $500,000 a year or $100,000 a year. What I'm trying to point out is $30,000 a year. And so if you cut the training budget to zero, had no training, the still not gonna save one. Now, if you cut the budget for training,
But that doesn't excuse the fact that we shouldn't look at it to make sure that it is being done correctly. Not saying that they're not doing it correctly, but just because we can't cut a single position by looking at this particular line item, doesn't mean that we can't still focus on improving costs.
What I even spoke to Luke on, I don't have anything to base this on at all. If we cut another $100,000 out of that 1.6 million, guaranteed. Does that make any difference? And what is that tax ramification? You go to a 0.21 tax instead of 0.25? I don't know. I guarantee we can cut $100,000 out of this 1.6 million, guaranteed. I'm just saying, what we have to do is make sure everybody understands, when we say 1.6 million, a lot of people may believe in their mind that 1.1 of it could be cut. And I think that the 1.1 of it could be cut so that we could save officers for today, not come from somewhere else out of the budget. Could that be done? I'm sure it could, but as Luke has pointed out, we'll bring it up here, 71% of the cost, 72% of the Harrison Police Department is personnel. You can't cut the budget and not save all of those jobs. You can't know what.
I know.
And I even when I had when I was at a company once, the CFO, they came to me and they said, what can we do to cut it on utilities? And I went to them and told them, I said, if they gave you the utilities for free, it wouldn't change your EBITDA 0.1%. So yeah, we cut. It doesn't do you any good. That's not where you need to cut. And for most places, if you're gonna cut, it has to be people. Hence that 71%. If you really want to cut the budget, in most entities, it's people.
In every business, it's wages.
Yep, so it's people.
And it's not just the wages, the support of that, or you have the taxes, you have the insurance, you have all of that.
But in,
Goes with it.
yes,
That's part of that.
it averages in most companies 1.23, 1.28 as far as the fully loaded factor. Some companies are as high as 1.4 if the company's able to do that. And I'm not saying, once again, Josh, from me personally, it sounds like whether I'm for or against the tax, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to make sure everybody understands when somebody says, oh, you don't have to cut those officers, they'll find the money somewhere else. Somebody's going home. The public is, if I'm anti-tax or anti-government or anti-spend, it doesn't make any difference. I have a right to vote like I want. For me, as I told everybody the last time, $13 up for the entire year, up to probably a maximum of 44, is worth 7 officers or animal control officers that get them. Because that's just $13 to me. Now, if it's for Steve sitting out here, if he goes to Walmart every day and spends that, he may exceed that $13, $44. But for me, I'm watching my budget this month, and it's worth it for that. Now, what I like to see, I don't want to drop in any services. I'd like to see the spending go down. That doesn't happen like that. So I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands where the fat is, if there is any. Now, Luke says they're great that he's the lead, and I know we're working on the buttons with him. And I know Chief Grady came to us, I think it was 4 years ago, and asked for something 50,000. You remember that, Chief? I don't even remember what it was. Radio.
4 years ago, probably less.
Yeah, and we didn't give it to you, did we?
Yeah, get it over.
You got it over.
We had to get grants.
We got
Thankfully, we were able to.
Which is proof that even when we told no, you don't give up and you will get the money somewhere else, but we couldn't afford it then at that time, because it wasn't in your budget. I thought it was great, but I think you're right, I think it's that. So, again, the point to bring everybody to this, personnel 72% of the budget, equipment only 9%. Animal control, some people say, I'm ready to cut that today. Cause it doesn't bother them. People that are advocates for animals, they'd rather cut an officer an SRO. And I'm saying from the SRO standpoint, Chief Wright knows this, he gets heat for the SROs when the school pays for half of it. Let's see the fire department when we move forward. Oh, back up for just a second. So the 603 is the sales tax portion of that 1.6. Really, the police department, if you said, we're just gonna cut police spending only, you still got, $1 million. You leave the others intact, right? Personnel is 501,000. Operations at $54,000.
So when you look at operations, you're talking the range that we have, the training, telephone, those are all related to the number of officers you have.
But now that's,
So you cut the officers you have to cut those operations equivalently, so that's why, that's how we come up.
and that's referred to as leverage. That's right, that's it. So the leverage on that is 54,000. So that doesn't mean the training budget of $30,000 gets cut by that. That's a disproportion. Okay. So everybody understands that. Once again, we're trying to get clarity here so everybody understands. So that an informed public can make an informed vote and decision. Let's see, fire. 81% of the budget is personnel. Wow.
How long has this tax been in effect?
2002 or 4.
This would be 24 years.
24 years, so we haven't had an increase in 24 years.
This would be
And we're not billing new money. That is, this is a tax we've all been paying for 24 years.
Okay.
Not an increase.
Okay. So, council, let's go up and see the portion that, has gone 422,000. Okay. Comes from this portion of the sales tax. Sure, I mean. I think if we start, obviously the taxes is centered on those other two, and that's over $1 million. And so, if 100% of this went away, you're still not gonna be able to save very much in the other one. You could save some.
I don't understand how you've been able to operate for 24 years without an increase. I try to imagine me doing that with Social Security being what it was 24 years ago, and payroll what it was 24 years ago. I'm trying to survive in today's world. Yeah, we're asking our fire department and police department to do less than that.
Our sales tax has.
Our sales tax has increased at about a 3% clip every year, 2 to 3 over those. I would say the last 14 years that I've been.
Elections are,
What percentages have?
elections are.
Elections and total dollar amount, and that equates to roughly cost of living over those same. So, again, wages, operations, all that stuff. Now, equipment has obviously far exceeded that 2 to 3% a year. But that is how we've been able to maintain and manage what we've been able to do over these last.
James, pardon me, have you got anybody signed up to speak in committee?
Oh, no.
Okay, we're gonna have to end up here in a minute so that we can get the video out. Before council, so we're gonna adjourn here and do this on the fifth. You have a question or a comment, Larry?
And I don't know if this is sound funny, but I think that's why we need our citizens to shop local. And support our businesses locally, to support our community, to support our tax.
Absolutely, and I will say the city is a very big proponent, but we also. Well, we walk the walk too whenever we do that, because when we're shopping and we're trying to go out for bids or anything, it's local. There's a few things that are not, most of the time it's because we can't access it here, or it's such a steep discount elsewhere that we go out there. Or go out elsewhere, but I can guarantee you, we try to go as local as possible, and we've even passed, I believe, thank you all for, you know, the ordinance that was passed that allows for 5% local discount.
Well, we said this outside of the council on the committee, and people will say, well, I'm not gonna shop like people from the county or wherever, I'm not gonna shop in Harrison anymore, since I don't get to vote there. Well, our fire department and our police department provide service outside of the city limits, so you get some benefit from your tax money. You come to Harrison, drive on the roads in Harrison, so you may not be able to vote, but you get some benefit to it, we don't block people out. And when people say, I'm going to Branson from now on, well, that's your choice too, be our guest. But you're not voting in Branson, I mean, Missouri's not sending you any benefit. So your money is close that you can get it to your house is where you need to spend it if you want benefit. But again, that sounds like advocation for the tax, and I want to clearly state that multiple times. I just want everybody to understand the concepts and get an understanding of where we're at, and see these numbers and everything.
And I think a strong fire department, a strong police presence is one of the reasons we continue to have this to grow and come, and they look at that. And that's why they come here, that will help us, the community grow, and as our business community grows, it supports the city, and it's one circle.
Okay, so, this committee, anyone, committee member have any comment? I'd like to get us to adjourn so that we'll post this out there.
I just have one. Going back to budget time. We have to trust our department heads to do the job. And I feel like you all are doing the job. And I know that you go and request everybody to scrutinize budget. You say no. I know you can say no. And I know that our department heads take that job very seriously. And that's reflected, I think, over the past few years in how we've conducted, what we've been able to accomplish in the city. And our safety and our health is related to that budget. And so I appreciate what you all have done with the budget that you have.
Last thing I'll say before I adjourn, to that point, you just made a comment. We're challenged and tasked with reviewing the budget each year before we vote on it. If you voted on last year's budget, you may not have liked everything in it, but we as a church, we don't like something in the budget, we need to point it out and ask. We need to tell them about it. We look at it constantly, I will say, what about this, up here? Are you sure you don't need more money here? The mayor and I've had multiple times where he and I sat down and gone through the budget and, is there any way we can do this or do something different? Are you sure you're gonna have this project? So there's a lot of stuff that goes on, but we are tasked by the public to review that. So we are part of that process. And if we think they're spending too much, we should not approve the budget. That said, we are adjourned and council will convene in 15 minutes roughly? James, you got about 15, 14, 13 minutes.